In 1969, the Lesney Matchbox king-size K-2 Scammell heavy wreck truck was introduced to the king-size lineup. It replaced the KW Dart. All regular wheel versions of the Scammell wrecker had a red plastic grille, amber roof beacons, red plastic hubs with black plastic tires, plated base plate, air horns on the cab roof, and SO labels on the doors. The jib was painted red, and it had twin unpainted metal hooks attached by two white plastic tubes. The first version had a white painted body with either green or amber tinted windows. The body was later recolored gold, and this one is always found with amber windows. It was packaged in F-type boxes that can be with or without a header card. In 1970 or 1971, it was converted to superfast wheels. It kept the gold body with red jib and the SO labels, but could have had an unpainted or red base plate, silver or gold hooks, and amber or clear windows, and finally, red or black grille. It was eventually deleted to make way for the car recovery vehicle in 1977. So, here we are again, folks, and today we are creating a Lesney Matchbox King Size number K2 Scammell heavy wreck truck. And this is part of this is his third annual anniversary for Time Rider's Wee Little Cars channel. Every year for his anniversary, he's created a wreck or a wrecker, and has invited anybody who wants to join in the fun to submit a wrecker for his anniversary. And that little intro that I gave was in homage to our friend Time Rider and the little bit of history that he often gives us with all of the diecast cars that he customizes or restores. So I dug up a little history and gave you that little brief introduction. This is the first king size I have ever attempted, and they are somewhat intricate in some of the details. This one, has 10 tires on it, several different axle pins for the jib, as well as the wheels. So, luckily, all the wheels were on this one, and what I'm doing here is soaking them in some WD-40 for one. It kind of acts as a lubricant and degreaser in a sense of getting any gooey stuff that might have been attached to the tires, and it also acts as a rubber rejuvenator or plastic rejuvenator. So sometimes what happens is those tires and wheels will shrink so they don't quite fit on the hub that you see here, the red hubs. I don't know if it's that shrinks or the plastic wheels that shrink, but they often don't fit as well as they used to. So that's what the WD-40 was. There was also some gooey kind of glue on a few of the tires. So the petroleum in the WD-40 will take care of that. And here I am removing one of the axles and just shaving down that little nubbin at the end. For whatever reason, these axles they weren't rusty, but it felt like there was something gritty on the pins, so they didn't really come out very well, if that makes any sense. And I'm also putting the wheel hubs in the WD-40 to hopefully rejuvenate them. Didn't quite work as well as I wanted, but I have a workaround for that towards the end. So here's the bottom of the base. Looks pretty good. And that will end up getting a bath in our CLR. So there's one more of the axle pins that needed to come out for the jib. Same process, just file down the little nubbin at the end so the axle or the pin will pull out. And there's another one at the end where the hooks are as well, a little small one. So we got rid of those got everything apart. So here is the axles getting a treatment of some sandpaper. Get some of the, I don't know if it's just like scaling. Again, there was no rust, but one of them like was almost completely black in color, and the wheel hubs weren't really sliding or rotating on the shaft very well. They were kind of tight, so I had to readdress that at the end during reassembly. So I'm getting all these. You can see there's that black one. I don't know what that is, but it came off. So there's my 3 axle pins, and here our base is getting a nice bath in some CLR. Get some of the oxidation and some of the scaling that's on the bottom. And this is only a few minutes. It was really in good condition. There wasn't really much on there. So probably about a 5-minute dip. And you can see some of the bubbling action that's already started to occur. I mean, once you dip this in, it's almost an immediate reaction. I think I'm going to try some lime away after this batch of CLR is done. So here I'm just filing down the end of the pin or the post. So during reassembly it'll attach to the body, or the body will attach to the base a little easier. And you know the drill, no pun intended. We drill the post with a 1/16 drill bit. And then we take a 256 tap and we tap the hole for a screw. There's also some screws that are self-tapping out on the market. I haven't tried them yet because I have a ton of the regular screws. So until I run out or just feel like ordering them, this is the process I use, like many others. So you just tap and reverse. Don't go all the way in at the beginning because you'll see the metal that's there. And if you just continue to drive through it, you'll end up snapping your tap. Or even if one of the posts are very skinny or really old and in bad shape, you can just tear open the post. So repeat the process in, back it off, take the metal out, and then final fit your screw to make sure you've got a nice seat. And that's it. So our window plastic and the beacons at the top were in pretty good shape. All I did was I just gave the windshield a quick polish. I probably didn't even have to. Just the soap and water would have been fine. So I gave it a quick polish. It wasn't even worth taking video of it because the window was in such good shape. So now it's just getting a dip in the future shine along with the beacons. And then they're put aside to dry. So after we removed the body and the jib from the paint stripper, cleaned it off. This is just a brass brush just to remove some of the residue that's left over, any paint that may have been trapped, and just to see what the overall condition of the body and the jib and the boom, just to see what kind of condition they're in prior to primer. Anything that has any, if there's any metal that just doesn't look right from the casting, this is where you would, assess it and file it down. This casting was in fantastic shape. I had no issues with anything, so no filing, no fussing afterward. And from here, we just degreased it and got it straight into the paint booth for paint and primer, or primer and paint. And sometimes I like to use steel wool just as an added, little extra bonus touch to see how everything looks. So here's our body ready for primer. And this casting, I think most of the king size, even some of the regular size castings for Lesney, some of the detail they had in here, you'll see it towards the end of this portion of the clip. On the hood of the vehicle, you can actually see the word Scammell, or Scammell, however you'd like to pronounce it. I think I captured it in here in the video, but you can actually read it. It's in the front of the hood, and if it's not in here, check it out at the reveal when at the end of the video. You can actually read these tiny little words. So it's pretty incredible, the detail that they put into this. Even the toolboxes, the winch, the little door handles, little vents that they had on the side. Let's see if you can see it in here. Maybe not. Maybe I didn't catch it. But you can see, like, even the levers, like, how you would operate the jib and the boom. It's pretty impressive how they got so much detail on these castings. So for the white body, I use my appliance epoxy white. It's a fan fave here in most of the stuff that I do. Anything that gets white paint, you can pretty much count on me breaking this out. I just like the way it mists through. It's not a hard spray pattern that comes out. And then I use my airbrush always to help for some drying time and to help the paint to lay down a little bit so it kind of lays flat. And for the red, just plain old Rust-Oleum red for the jib and the boom. I actually did this for the regular size heavy wreck truck, which is quite a few videos back, but same thing. This was the Rust-Oleum red and the appliance white epoxy paint. It's just the red is a little bit darker than what the original paint was, but I kind of like it, and I'm not making an exact replica. So even on the grill, I think that was the only thing I was not really keen on with this. The grill was molded in red plastic, and I just didn't like it. So I sprayed the grill with a chrome looking paint, and I kind of like that look better. So I took a little creative license, and that is the only custom feature that I've added to this. So here I'm just painting everything and laying down some air to help this dry, especially on these tiny little parts that have these tiny little details in there. Sometimes when you hit it with a rattle can, it doesn't quite lay down as well. So the air is a nice little feature to help things along. So I made the decals for this myself. I actually had made them the exact same decal that I used on the regular version, the smaller version of the wreck truck. So a little bit of water on the door panel to help with some movement, and I used just a wet paper towel rather than dunk the entire decal. So the paper backing absorbs the water from the paper towel. Takes a little bit longer, but it also doesn't really eat through. I mean, I like the clear coat that I put on these decals to finish them off before I use them or before I apply them. But I think soaking them in water, if you just soak them in a bucket, it will kind of wear away that clear coat. So using this paper towel method just assures that the water only touches the backing. And then you just get your tweezer, separate it from the paper backing a little bit, slide it out. And then my normal method, 2 Q-tips, one to hold the decal in place, and another to help squeegee any water from underneath it, push any bubbles, creases. I cut this decal just a little bit larger than I should have. So I take my X-Acto knife up where the door handle was and just put a couple of slits in it. Important that if you try that or need to do that, that your X-Acto blade is super sharp, otherwise you could tear the decal. So I put 2 little slits in it and got my Q-tip and pushed down to get any air bubbles out of the side and made sure that that laid down underneath the door handle. And a little microsol to finish it off to help melt the decal into the body a little bit, soften it up. And you don't want to overdo it with the microsol, just enough to get it wet. And just let it dry up a little bit, and you're good to go. So we just have to repeat it on the other side. And you can see how it formed right underneath the door handle and even on the door hinges. And that's it. I thought about clear coating the entire body, but I didn't. I figured that was good enough. The enamel paint is good enough. I didn't want to make it too shiny, so I left it as is. So here's the here's the workaround I did for the wheels. They did, even with the WD-40 to try help expand the rubber and the plastic a little bit, just wasn't quite enough. So this is just tape that you use for masking for, if you're painting lines or anything. 1/8 inch width, and I just wrapped the hubs and installed the tire, or installed the hub into the tire. And that was really the end of everything. And once I did all 10 tires and made sure they fit, I reassembled. And after this, you're just going to see the final reveal on the rotisserie. So this was a little more intricate, and some of the things that needed to be done, because there's some more moving parts and some other stuff with this model. And there she is. There's my painted grill. And other than that, she was a nice project to work on. I actually, if you can see under the jib itself, for whatever reason, it popped up a little bit. I didn't use screws to install it, and for whatever reason, I guess the weight of the truck, my little rotisserie, at a certain point needed a little push. So I don't know what that's all about, but you'll see my finger come into the frame every once in a while to make that thing spin. So I did go back afterward and I pushed that jib down, and everything is fine now. But that's it, guys. She's a beaut. I was really happy with the condition it was when I got it, and it was nice to work on in tribute for our friend Time Rider's anniversary of his channel. So I have some other king size models now that I may get into in the future. A couple of them need some parts. I'm gonna have to track them down, but I really enjoyed it, and I'm really impressed with the way it turned out. So be sure to go check out Time Rider's channel and see what he produced for his anniversary this year, and be sure to try and track anybody else who's also joined in the fun for this anniversary tribute. And as usual, guys, thank you for subscribing and liking and leaving comments and appreciating what's going on here. I hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving with the ones you love, and everybody is safe. And until the next time, I'll see you soon, and be good.